Yo, what is good, YouTube? And we are back again with some more sniper secrets, man. We've been making this type of video for all the new games that have been coming out, and you guys have been loving it. And today, we're focused on Black Ops 7. We're going to be going over my best sniping tips, gameplay tips, and overall best settings for this game. I feel like I have to make these videos. Like, I swear, modern games set you up for failure with some of these default settings they are giving you. So once you copy these settings, apply these tips, it will feel like you are playing a completely different game and make you look like this. There's so many little things that are going to allow you to have a much better experience on Black Ops 7. To start this video off, I'm going to bring you the best gameplay tips that I've gathered over the course of the past 2 weeks playing this game. And then after that, I'm going to get into sniping tips to help you improve as a sniper, but obviously all of this is important, so lock in. And I know Call of Duty is Call of Duty, and most of the time everything is the same, but there's a few things that Black Ops 7 has introduced that you're going to want to know. This video is jam-packed with a bunch of stuff that's going to help you out. So make sure to save this video either by dropping a like or sharing it to a friend so you can come back whenever you need it. The first thing I want to talk about is the sniper selection in Black Ops 7. At the time I'm recording this video, there is only one bolt action sniper in the game, and it's called the VS Recon, or the VSR, which is the successor to the DSR from Black Ops 2. The other two snipers are the Shadow SK, which is this hard-hitting RSAS MW3 looking sniper. It doesn't really look great. And the XR3 Ion, aka the I don't want to use it. It's like the PO6 from Black Ops 3. It can be good, but man, is it an ugly looking sniper. So we only have one bolt action sniper at the release of this game, which is a very interesting choice considering we usually get a fast bolt and a slow bolt. The VSR is the best sniping, quickscoping gun in the game. It's the best looking, it feels the best, and it's the most satisfying. Now there is a rumor that we will be getting the Ballista or some other bolt action sniper during Season 1, which is releasing on December 4th, so hopefully we can look back at this video in the future knowing that's exactly what we got. The second thing that's pretty unique to this Call of Duty is that there are weapon prestige attachments. These are attachments that you unlock once you prestige the weapon one time. On the VSR, there is an underbarrel that improves rechamber stabilization, aim speed, sprint to fire, and recoil control. The XR3 Ion has a muzzle that makes the hipfire accuracy a little crazy, and the Shadow SK has this laser that literally makes the gun broken by giving it 100% no-scope accuracy pretty much, which is definitely getting nerfed. The best prestige attachment on here, and the only one worth using in my opinion, is the VSR underbarrel attachment. It is a must. It makes the gun more stable. And I guess you can use that broken SK laser too, but like I said, it's getting nerfed into the ground. I can feel it. But speaking of attachments, one of the most important things to do in Black Ops 7 is make sure you have them all unlocked for your sniper. It may seem like a simple thing, but it is the difference maker. When you see YouTubers or streamers popping off, they're not doing anything different. They just have the right setup. This is how it looks when you do not have the right settings and attachments when you shoot a sniper in this game compared to when you do. I mean, it is night and day. And nowadays, when it comes to sniping in Call of Duty, you kind of have to earn your fun. And basically what I mean by that is they're not really that fun to use when you have no attachments. You have to completely change your playstyle when you don't have any of them. And it doesn't even feel satisfying. It feels like you have a 10,000 pound weight attached to your gun. The VSR maxes out at level 45, the Ion maxes out at level 44, and the Shadow SK maxes at 46. It takes a little bit, so hang in there, pop a double weapon XP token if you have it, play 20v20 for all those long shots, and you'll be good. And when you do unlock everything, I recommend using the Gunfighter wildcard because the snipers need as many attachments as they can get. And while the class setups themselves will be different for each sniper, there is one thing that stays the same. The Strelok laser, the almighty Strelok laser. It's called the lockstep attachment in Black Ops 7. This bad boy right here is the most important attachment for sniping in the entire game. You may be looking at it like, how does hipfire to ADS accuracy help this much? Well, it's because it basically allows you to play aggressive. When you're running around quickscoping, this laser allows you to pop the enemy before you scope all the way in. It's pretty crazy right now at the time I'm recording this video. Like, you don't even need to scope in a quarter of the way before it's 100% accuracy. But even if it gets nerfed, it will probably revert to how it was in Black Ops 6, where a pop shot or a half scope is still very viable. And with the pretty slow ADS speeds on the snipers these days, you're gonna run into a lot of situations where you don't have time to scope in all the way. You just got to get that half scope off. I also recommend using a variety of perks to see which ones feel best for you. But lately, I've been rocking Flak Jacket, Tac Mask, and Tracker. Tracker's really nice because after you get a kill, you can look up at the top left on your radar and it will show you the direction where the closest enemy is. It's really good for sniping clips. Also, playing Call of Duty without Flak Jacket and Tac Mask is pretty annoying, especially the grenades and stuff in this game and the noob tubes. You literally die to all the explosives. And there's a psychedelic grenade that pretty much gives you schizophrenia, and people run that a good amount, so Tac Mask is going to be super important. Plus, 10v10 is probably going to come soon, and you do not want to play ground war without these perks. It's pretty bad. But before I started using these perks, I was rocking the triple red perks, which give you a speed advantage after every kill when you have 3 reds. I was rocking lightweight, scavenger, dexterity, or bankroll. Ninja and ghost can work as well. There's a lot of perk variety in Black Ops 7. I've also been getting a ton of questions about my permanent unlocks after you prestige. The number one thing I think you should permanently unlock after you prestige is Gunfighter. You get this at level 29, and while you may think that's a pretty low level, again, every sniper in this game needs 8 attachments. So if you can't use 8 attachments until level 29, that's going to affect your playstyle a whole lot. You're going to have to deal with the 5 attachment sniper setup, which may not be as good. After Gunfighter, I think Stim Shot is the second most important. After Stim Shot, I think Harp is pretty important. And I also recommend permanently unlocking Lightweight as well. You don't get it until 45, which is very important if you're going to run that triple red perk setup I talked about. And for the first time ever in Black Ops 7, you can actually get a different gun animation when you shoot your sniper. So if you use the perk Gung Ho, as you can see, once you shoot and sprint forward, your gun will be stationary in the center of your screen. It will just stay ready to shoot at all times. A lot of people have been saying this helps out a lot when it comes to their second and third shot. They're able to get that shot off more accurately because your gun isn't dipping all over the place. Compared to if you didn't have Gung Ho on, you shoot and you see your gun dips a little bit. This is a personal preference thing. Some of you may think Gung Ho feels a lot better and it's easier to snipe. Some of you may not care and you think it looks better without Gung Ho, but I thought it was worth mentioning just in case one of you guys want to use Gung Ho. Another tip that's very important that may go over your head is that different variants actually feel different on the snipers. For example, the VS Recon, no variant at all, feels pretty solid when you're aiming in and quickscoping. But if you have the Green Thunder, the Monster collab, or the Ballista Scythe, which is the one that comes with the pre-order edition to the game, you're going to notice that this gun, the scope, is actually much bigger. It takes up much more of your screen. But when you run around in quickscope, it actually feels more clunky. It feels heavier. Which is very unfortunate because these variants look pretty badass, but unfortunately they just don't feel as good as the default sniper does. So I do recommend using the default VSR over all of the variants so far in the game at least. Now, once you get your settings and your classes down, it's time to snipe. And the first thing I recommend you do is get comfortable with the speed of the sniper you're trying to use. Timing is everything. Put the right attachments on, hop into private match, and just practice shooting right when the crosshair is centered. Get comfortable with the fire rate. Get comfortable with the ADS speed. This is very important so you don't get jammed up in the middle of a fight because you're just not used to the speed of the sniper you're using. The next tip I can give you, which is the most important tip for sniping nowadays, you've been hearing me preach this for the past few years, it's to center your shot. Centering is the most efficient way to quickscope because it doesn't rely on aim assist. Centering is when you put the enemy in the center of your crosshair before you scope in. So you find the enemy, center him on your screen, and then quickscoping. This method of quickscoping is way better than drag scoping because modern CODs don't have aim assist on snipers. Back in the day, drag scoping was the meta and it was what everybody pretty much used when it comes to quickscoping because you could drag onto the enemy and you would slow down once your crosshair would be hovering over the enemy. So that kind of helped you quickscope and time that perfectly because you would feel the aim assist slow down once the reticle was on the enemy. But these modern Call of Duties, they don't have aim assist on snipers, so it's a lot harder to time it when you can't feel that slowdown. That's why centering is the best because it bypasses all of that. You don't have to worry about aim assist. You just pop the enemy in the center of your screen and then quickscope. The next tip would be crosshair placement. This term has been used in games like Valorant or Counter-Strike, but it works just as well in Call of Duty. When you're running around the map, you're putting your crosshair where you know the enemy is going to be. From a casual's perspective, this might look like you're cheating, but what it really is map knowledge. When you start to understand the map and where enemies usually go, you can start pre-aiming those hotspots, which usually is the difference maker when it comes to getting the shot off first and keeping the clip going. But what do you do when you enter a room and there's just a shit ton of enemies? Who do you shoot first? Target prioritization or enemy prioritization is super important. Basically, you want to go with the person who's most likely to shoot you first. Now, this is very situational and it takes a while to get down, but the more you find yourself in this situation, the more comfortable you will get. And you'll start to notice which enemies are not looking at you. And you can quickly judge who to take out first. Remember, you want to go for the enemy who's most likely to kill you first, all the way to who's least likely to kill you. When you apply all of these sniping tips, it really does make a world of a difference. And I recommend, you'll hear me saying this throughout the video, hopping into private match, putting the bots on recruit, and just zoning out and practicing your shot, practicing crosshair placement, enemy prioritization. It will help out more than you know. I used to go and shoot 1,000 bots a day to get my playstyle and my shot down before I hopped into pubs. At the end of the day, repetition and practice is going to be the #1 thing that separates you from other snipers. Now, with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great time on Black Ops 7, and remember, all of this is supposed to be about fun. Back in 2008, when I started sniping, I never cared about my KD ratio. I would go like 7 and 48 in each game I played, but those 7 kills felt so good and so addicting that it kept bringing me back for more. That dopamine rush was everything, and that to me felt way better and more rewarding than using any other gun or playing any other way in Call of Duty. So as long as you guys are having fun, you're naturally going to get better. So if any of these tips or settings helped you in any way, please consider dropping a like and subscribing if you're new. It helps out more than you know, and the more snipers out there, the better. So we've made it to the settings portion of this video. This is where we get down to business. This is where all the nitty-gritty stuff is found, and you guys have been asking for this for so long, so let's get into it. From the graphics to the interface to the controller settings to mouse and keyboard settings, everything you need to know right here. So we're going to start it off on my graphics settings. Now, I do have a dual PC setup and I do have a Juggernaut PC, so maybe some of these settings work for me. They may not work for you. As you see, I'm rocking a 5090. I'm playing on full screen exclusive. For all my PC players out there, I have heard that playing on full screen exclusive is the move for this game, way more than some of the previous Call of Duty. So I do recommend full screen exclusive. We're going to go down. Reflex low latency is on. I usually had it on boost, but apparently on is the best for this game. You're going to want VSync off on the menus and in the gameplay. Custom frame rate limit, I have mine on unlimited because I do get higher than 300 FPS a lot of the times, which is awesome. But we keep scrolling down here. You're going to want HDR off. I mean, that's a given. We hate HDR around here. That's going to tank some frames. So getting into the quality aspect right here, we're going on a custom graphic preset. We play on 2560 by 1440. I do play on DLSS. Now, a lot of people have been saying rock Fidelity FX CAS, but DLSS actually is the move for this game for PC. The game looks great. It runs great. All this talk about having increased input delay, I don't personally feel it, and I'm kind of a nut when it comes to input delay. So I'm rocking DLSS. I have my preset on performance, and I have my sharpness on 65. And then you're going to want your DLSS model on transformer as well. So I'm scrolling down here for the AMD frame generation. You want that off. That's just basically fake frames. I feel like that's good for single player games, but for multiplayer, you don't want that. VRAM scale target, I have mine on 70. And then we get down to the details details and the textures. Just copy this down. Pretty much all these settings I found make the game look great, and you still get great FPS at that same time. And we're going to keep on scrolling down here. As you can see, everything is on low. On-demand texture streaming is on minimal. I didn't change the cache size. I feel like that's going to mess some things up, so I kept that on default. Keep scrolling down on here. We got low, 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 normal. Terrain quality, though, you're going to want to have that on very high. This is what makes the game actually look pretty solid. It doesn't make it look low quality and just kind of blurry. So I have my terrain quality on very high, and then everything else can be on low and off. Heading on into the view category, I personally think 105 FOV is perfect. A lot of people ask me why I don't play on 120 FOV. For a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't think it looks best for clips. That's just a personal opinion. Maybe for SND or for Warzone, but for multiplayer and for sniping, I like 105. The second reason is because I just can't see people when they're far away on 120 FOV. I think 105 is that perfect sweet spot, and I just think it looks the best right there. ADS field of view, I have mine on affected, default for the weapon field of view, and then everything else is pretty default. You're going to want world motion blur off and weapon motion blur off. And here is the secret setting when it comes to the first-person camera movement. You're going to want this on least. Here's another example of modern FPS games and modern games in general setting you up for failure. Default 100%, your screen is literally going to be bouncing all over the place. You don't want that. You want to reduce the most amount of visual clutter on your screen as much as possible, so you put those both on least 50%. Inverted flashbang, if you want that on, you're kind of a psychopath because it turns your screen black instead of white when you get flashed. I feel like my game just crashes whenever I get flashbanged with that on, so I keep that off. Moving on into the interface category, this is where you're going to find a lot of secret settings that are really going to change your game a lot. So if you go into the global category right here, pretty much everything is on default. You're going to want the skip introduction movie off. Tutorials, you can keep that off as well. I just have mine on. I don't really notice it popping up and interfering with my gameplay at all, so I just keep my tutorials on. Telemetry for PC players, this is where you're going to want to see your FPS counter, server latency, packet loss. I actually have mine all on off right now, but if I were to turn any of them on, I would turn on these first three right here, the FPS counter, the latency, and the packet loss. Pretty much everything else is fine. This is really good to see if your graphics card is working, if your temperatures are correct, and to see if your overclocks are on. I keep all of mine off, but you can have some of yours on depending on what you want. Moving on into the readability tab, this is another secret setting right here that some of you may want to use for all my snipers out there that want the kill feed to pop a little bit more. If you turn your menu text size to larger or largest, it will actually increase the size of your kill feed. So if you think the kill feed looks a little bit small, you can put this to larger or largest and it will increase it. I'm going to put an example on the screen right now of what the kill feed looks like when you have yours on larger and when you have it on default. As you can see, the kill feed does pop a little bit more, but also it increases the text size and the point size on your screen. At first, I thought this was the move for me personally, but as I kept looking at it, it looked a little bit too mobily. The points were a little bit too big, especially on my short form content. I feel like the points would pop out a little bit too much and it looks a little too scuffed. So I actually went back to default, but you can change this if you think it looks better for you, if you like it more. And combined with that, when you change this to larger, it will also increase your HUD size as well. So that may look a little bit big, but you can reduce the size of that in the scale category right here in gameplay HUD. You can put this to negative 0.10, negative 0.20, so it keeps the kill feed at that larger size, but it decreases the mini-map, the gun in the bottom right, and the score limit, so it doesn't get in the way and it doesn't look too big and too weird. But heading into color customization, this is one of the most important things that I think you could do on Black Ops 7. This makes the game pop a lot more. So many people coming into my chat, commenting on my videos, they say, how does your game look more vibrant than mine? Why do your colors pop a little bit more? This is why. You're going to head into the color customization setting. You're going to scroll down to color filter, put this on filter 2. You go to your target, put this on both, and then go to your world color intensity and put that all the way up to 100. That makes the map pop a lot more, the colors pop a lot more, without it looking too arcadey and too unrealistic. This just pops the colors, makes it look so much more vibrant. I highly recommend this setting. It looks great. Heading into the gameplay HUD category here, I actually have my scale at 0.10. Again, we just talked about this, but it decreases the size of the minimap, the kill streaks, the gun in the bottom right. I like to have my screen have the least amount of visual clutter as possible and make it look clean. This allows me to do that. The HUD info visibility is actually a pretty important one. I have my medals and notifications off. Now, this may be an unpopular opinion, but I think the medals popping up on the screen adds to the visual clutter. I think it's cool getting that kill chain medal or getting those nuclear medals pop up on your screen. But again, I want my gameplay to have the least amount of visual clutter as possible. And I think turning off the medals and notifications adds to that OG feel like Call of Duty where there was pretty much nothing popping up on your screen. Heading on down though, you can change your kill feed duration to medium, long, and extended. I personally think keeping it on default is the right move for me because when you have that extended kill feed, clips don't really feel as satisfying. One of the biggest things that makes clips satisfying and rewarding for me is having to get them in the time period of a default 5-second kill feed. But if you want to increase this to extended, you can do that as well. I mean, a 30-second clip, you're not going to have much speed, but hey, if it looks cool to you, go ahead. Moving down into the map and compass, you're going to want your radar off. If you have this on, it makes the radar look super weird. It has some weird circle effect. It completely makes the radar scuffed, which you may think having the radar off turns it off completely. No, that just turns off the scuffed version of the radar. So you're going to want to turn this off so it looks default. And you're also, my personal opinion, I want the compass off. I never look at the compass on multiplayer Call of Duty. That's more of a Warzone thing. The compass, again, just gets in the way and adds to the visual clutter on the screen. I like it off. It looks much cleaner. Heading into the crosshair section, this is going to be another important section of the video right here because if you want your crosshair on, you're going to want it on static. If you have it on, it's going to be bouncing all over the screen when you're running, when you're jumping. I think personally it's best to have your crosshair static in the center of your screen, never moving. I like that the most, but I personally, since I'm so focused on the crosshair dot, I have this off. I don't want to see any of my crosshairs at all. I just want to see that center dot so I can focus on centering at my best possible ability. So I have my crosshair dot on static so it stays in the center of my screen. It's not bouncing all over the place. This is an absolute must. It helps out tremendously for centering on snipers. I also have my crosshair dot scale on default. I think when you put it on larger or largest, it looks a little bit too fat in the center of your screen, so I just keep mine on default. I also use a monitor crosshair on top of this, so I don't want my crosshair dot in-game to be fatter than my monitor crosshair on my screen, so I keep mine on default. You can also change your opacity down, if you can see right here. Once I change this down, you can see it kind of fades away a little bit. I have mine on 100. I don't want my crosshair fading away. I want to see exactly where I'm aiming. I also have my color on white. I know you can change this. Some of the people have been having it on red, green. Personally, I think when you start messing with the colors, it can blend into the map depending on which map you're playing. So I just like to keep mine on white so I can see where my crosshair is at all times. Hit marker visual on, damage-based hit markers on, and everything else over here is pretty much on default. If we head into the advanced motion control, I didn't even check any of this. I didn't even touch any of this, so this is all on default. Heading on into the controller settings, I do play mouse and keyboard and controller. A lot of people have been asking when I swap to mouse and keyboard, why I don't play controller anymore. Guys, just write me down as a hybrid. I love playing on controller and I love playing on mouse and keyboard. Both of them feel great for me. I've kind of leaned more into the mouse and keyboard section recently because it just feels like I've unlocked an entirely new playstyle and I'm kind of building on that, and I feel like I've gotten even better playing on mouse and keyboard, but I still always love controller. I will never abandon it. A lot of people say once you swap to mouse and keyboard, you're never going back to controller. I refuse to believe that because I never want my controller shot to fade away. I always want to be able to play controller. So I have my horizontal stick sensitivity at 3.0 and my vertical stick sensitivity at 2.60. For context, in the other previous Call of Duties, that was around 16, 14 when the sensitivity went up to 20 max. Do with that information as you will. I personally think having your vertical stick sensitivity a little bit less than your horizontal feels more like old gen CODs when there was just one sensitivity, when it wasn't split between horizontal and vertical. That may be placebo, but ever since I heard that, I've been doing that on every single Call of Duty that offers a split sensitivity. I highly recommend it. It feels great. But scrolling on down here, as you guys can see, I'm the most default player you're pretty much going to run into. I have no paddles. I'll show you guys my controller real quick. This is my controller I use right now. It is a PlayStation 5 controller, the most default controller you're ever going to see. It's basically got no paddles. The only modification that I have to this controller are the trigger stops. So when I press this, it doesn't go all the way down. It just clicks. They're like mouse click triggers. They're great. I highly recommend them. I also rock Hall effect sticks on my analog sticks. Basically what that means is it doesn't have stick drift. It will not get stick drift on these analog sticks. I've had this controller for about 6 to 7 months, and it's so far not given me any stick drift, which is huge because a lot of the controllers nowadays, you guys know how it is, stick drift is crazy. So these Hall effect sticks are beautiful. They allow for pinpoint accuracy and no stick drift, so your controllers are going to last longer. This is also a Battle Beaver controller, and the Hall effect sticks are also called Magneto sticks. Apparently these aren't the same thing, so these are actually Magneto sticks, but it's pretty much the same thing in terms of they don't get stick drift. But I don't play on tactical, I don't play on flipped or any crazy stuff like that. All default, vibration always on. Shout out to my vibration gang. But heading into the dead zone inputs, this is another huge setting for controller players, a very important setting. So if you guys play controller, no matter what platform you're on, you're going to want to listen to this. The most important setting in this category is the left stick min and the right stick min. The best way I can describe this is the higher you put this, the less responsive it's going to feel. The lower you put this, the more responsive it's going to feel. So since I have a brand new controller and I have these Magneto sticks, I like my dead zone on 9-9, both left and right stick min. That feels the best for me. If you have a controller with stick drift, you're probably going to want to turn this a little bit up because that counters it. So if you feel like you're playing controller and your character just feels heavy when you're looking left, you're looking right, your movements just feel heavy, this is probably why. You're going to want to lower your dead zone to around 10 to that 5 range. See what feels best for you. I promise you this is an absolute game changer. Moving on into the aiming category, the sensitivity multiplier, I have all of this on default. I don't mess with that at all. My look inversion is on standard. If we go to the aiming advanced settings, my ADS sensitivity transition timing is on gradual, third person assist, and then aim response curve type. This is another pretty important setting right here. I have mine on dynamic. If you've been sticking around in the Call of Duty scene for a little bit over the past few years, this has been the move for all controller players. It says ideal for more experienced players, fast starting movement that slows down to the aiming rate, reverse S-curve mapping. All of that is kind of just technical talk. The best way I can describe this is this setting paired with the dead zone is going to make your controller experience so much better. I think dynamic response curve feels great in terms of moving left and right, aiming left and right. It feels the most responsive. I highly recommend dynamic. Custom sensitivity per zoom, I also have that on off. Pretty much everything else is all default. Motion sensor function, I kept all this on default. I didn't touch any of that. Now moving into the movement category, this is going to be a pretty important tab because Black Ops 7 has great movement. It has omni movement and it has these wall bounces. And there's a few settings in here that are going to make your experience much better. So sprint assist, I have mine on off. All of this is on off, but your wall jump assist, I highly recommend you have this to sideways only. Basically what this is going to do is it's going to automatically bounce you off of walls sideways. The only negative to this setting is sometimes you end up ping-ponging all over the place and you'll bounce all over these walls and it may feel a little bit uncomfortable, but I promise you the positives outweigh the negative. Sideways only is the move. You don't have to worry about pressing an extra button to bounce off these walls. It makes wall bouncing so much more fluid, so much easier. And you're also going to want to have your slide/dive behavior on hybrid. This was a big setting in Black Ops 6. This made it so much easier to utilize the omni movement. If you find yourself crouching when you want to dive or laying down or any of that, it's probably because your slide/dive behavior isn't on the right thing. Tap to slide usually was the move, but since there's no tack sprint anymore, I highly recommend hybrid. This basically makes it so the only time you dive is when you press the left analog stick down and then press B. It makes it so much easier, at least for me, to dive and utilize the omni movement without having to press all these weird uncomfortable button combinations. Hybrid is the move. Scrolling on down here, everything else is pretty much on default. Automatic airborne mantle, I have that on. I actually might turn that off, low key. Sprint restore, I have that on. Everything else is pretty much default. If we head into the movement advanced settings, all of this is default as well. And then going into vehicle advanced settings, that's default as well. Heading into the combat tab, I have my aim down sight behavior on hold. Again, all of this is pretty much default. I don't think I've changed anything in this category right here when it comes to controller. All of this is pretty much default. Advanced settings is all here. That's That's all default. Overlay advanced settings, this is default, so you guys can just copy this down and get all these settings. Now, heading into the mouse and keyboard settings, I play on 800 DPI with 6.10 mouse sensitivity, and I didn't change any of these multipliers. I left them all on default, as you guys can see. I also play on a Logitech G Pro Superlight 2 mouse. I actually just got this. I like this mouse, not sponsored. And I also have the Tiger Ice V2 mouse skates on the bottom of my mouse, and I'm rocking an Artisan Mousepad. This thing is beautiful. I'll have all this stuff in the description as well, so you guys can see exactly what I'm rocking. But moving on into these, this is pretty much all default. When you go into here, mouse advanced settings, I have my sensitivity transition timing on gradual, type relative, and my third person ADS correction type on precision. Mouse calibration, I didn't touch any of this. I left this all default. Use system mouse cursor off. My mouse feels great. It feels super responsive in Black Ops 7. I don't want to change or mess with any of these settings after I've been tweaking them a lot, so I highly recommend these settings. They're great. Obviously, your mouse sensitivity is going to be relative to what feels best for you, but 6.10, I rocked this back in Black Ops 6, so I'm rocking it again in Black Ops 7. You're going to see a lot of these settings on this game are pretty much very similar to Black Ops 6 settings. These games are pretty similar when it comes to settings-wise. Gameplay, it's a whole different story. But I'm rocking a lot of my Black Ops 6 settings when it comes to my mouse. Heading into the keybinds, I actually didn't change any of these things. Like, the only thing I think I changed in the mouse keybind settings is my next weapon. I have that on mouse 5, so I can just swap weapons using my mouse button. Everything else is default. I didn't change anything else when it comes to my keybinds. Heading into the movement category, now this is a little bit different from my controller settings. I like sprint assist on mouse and keyboard. That way, I don't have to press shift. My pinky does not have to press shift. All I got to do is press W, and I can move around the map and sprint around the map. Now that there's no tack sprint, this is beautiful. Everyone's on the same playing field. Sprint assist on feels great. It also feels good when you're sniping in between shots. It's just fluid. It's way more fluid. Going down here, though, everything else is all default. Mantle assist off, crouch assist off. You're going to want to have your wall jump assist on sideways only. Again, if you skipped the controller section and you're just hopping into the keyboard and mouse section, sideways only, I highly recommend. The only negative to sideways only is sometimes you'll be ping-ponging all over the place. Basically, this just means that you don't have to press an extra button to wall bounce off something. You just jump to the wall, and it'll automatically bounce you sideways off of that wall. It feels great for sniping. It feels great for overall movement. I highly recommend sideways only. Moving on down here, everything else is all default. Crouch, toggle, behavior, prone, wall jump activation. Just press all of this is on default. Heading in to the movement advanced settings, all of this is also on default. Slide / dive activation is on independent. You can pretty much copy this. Again, I'm a very default player. Heading into the combat section, hold down your aim down sight, obviously. Everything else is pretty much default, though. If we go to the advanced settings, this is all on default. You can copy this down as well. No mode-specific overlays and no overlay advanced settings. This is all on default as well. These are going to be the best settings for you guys on Black Ops 7. Heading into the audio category, this is pretty much going to be relative for you and what feels best for you. The game volume in this game is just absolutely incredibly loud, so I keep mine on 16. Everything else is pretty much default. I have my audio mix on Treyarch. Headphones, default system device. You can copy this down. I have my hitmarker preset on default. Treyarch, can we get the classic sound effect to be Black Ops 3 and not Black Ops 4? I don't know why the classic sound effect for the hitmarker preset is the Black Ops 4 hitmarker sound effect. Imagine if we had that chunky Black Ops 3 hitmarker sound effect for this classic. I think that would be so much better, and I think a lot more people would be utilizing this setting. Voice chat, all of this is going to be relative to you as well. You can copy this if you feel like it. But that's pretty much going to be it, guys. That wraps it up for this settings video. And if any of these settings helped you out in the slightest, make sure to drop a like on this video. It helps push this video out and to recommend it to help more people. And if I missed any setting, make sure to comment down below and let me know. I can update it in the description, or I can pin a comment if I missed any settings. But after around 1 day total played, 13 hours, these are the best settings that I've had, and I really hope they help you guys as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
How in the fuck are you about to say? The way that we do it, it's not the way. No, don't you sweat it, you not in the way. Nothing you do compared.